This is my final project presentation. Uh, so first I'm going to be going over the code, and then I'll show you an example. Whoops. So first here we have the car class. So this is just for each car. They have their individual class. They're made into an object. So just basic stuff for it. There's the car name, its color, the performance, the brand, whether it's convertible or not, whether it's electric or not, and the price and image of the car. And then we just have a basic constructor here that gives all of the information up here. There's the get price, or just regular setter and getter methods, except for this is convertible one, or this one right here, which instead of returning the Boolean value, will return the value as a string, whether it's convertible or not. So that's this class. So now I'll show you the interface that I used to know what methods I had to apply for the actual programming part. Right. So I just call the interface car controller needs. So we have the open method, we have the add to map, the apply, the buy button, order car, is convertible, find speed, find car, get check, clear images, add views, and add cars method. So these ones, or any of the add ones, those are just adding things to like a map or a set. The apply button is for when you're applying the filters. The buy button is for when you buy a car, and then the order is for when you actually put all your information in and want to order that car. These ones are just determining whether things are what something is, like if it's convertible, what speed the car has. Find cars will get what cars are in like the criteria, and then get check will get all the check boxes and their values. So now onto the actual code itself. So up top here, I'm just defining all of the hash maps, hash sets, and lists, all the other things that would be used, like the font here, which I use for all of the labels. So first thing here is the apply method. So in the apply method, first thing it does is clear any images that were already existing in the clear images method. And then, so if index is equal to 0, it will add the cars and views. So this is basically, so these are only added once, because if you add them multiple times, each time you click the apply button, you just get a whole list of repeated cars when you only want to see those cars once. So I make it so that it'll only make it on the first instance of the apply button when you click it, and then it'll never happen again so long as the program is running. So then I add all the buttons that were clicked, or the checkboxes that were clicked, to their associated hash sets. Then here I create a hash set for the cars that will have all the applied filters, and then I clear all the previous cars that had those filters. Then I do car set is equal to find cars at car map. And so if we go into the find cars method, right here, I create 3 hash sets, and they are the basically it just, this method here gets all of the check boxes, like their name, like their ID name, and then whether they are clicked or not, and then it is their ID is added to this string if they are checked. And that's for the brand's color and whether it's convertible or not. Then in here, in this for each method, or loop rather, for each car, it will look at whether there are any checked brands, if there's any checked colors, and if convertible is checked or not. And depending on whether all three, 1, 2, whatever, how many are checked, it will determine if a car meets those checks, then that car will be added to the cars with criteria method, or hash map rather. And so there's one for each of them, and there's also for whether they're within the price constraints that the user enters. So that's in the try method. And then in the catch method, I have to make this into a try catch, because if you didn't put in any money values, then an error would occur, because it would try to get the text from the text box of the prices, and it wouldn't see anything, so then an error would occur. So I had to put in this try catch, and if it catches, or if the user doesn't input any value, then it does the same thing, except it doesn't check the price boxes. So where was I? So once those are found, I create a iterator object for the image view hash set that I have, and then for each car that has the criteria, it will be added to a image view. Like they will get the car's associated image and then add it to the image view that is there. Now under this method here, this is the open method. So this is when you will click on one of those cars that will show up once you apply all the filters. So basically, I created I got the image from the image view, and then I got the like car with that associated image here, and then I would either get its color, get its brand, or get its price, and show all the information about that. And so I do this by, so you'll see with the mouse event E, so it's calling the car in view hash map, and then it's getting the car based on the image view, which is the key. And with that key, you can get the car's color, brand, price, whatever. And so I just created labels for the color of the car, the brand of the car, the price, whether it's convertible, and whether it goes 0 to 60, or how fast it goes there. And you'll see here it uses the find speed method. This method basically just it just looks at the car's brand, and depending on the brand, it will give it a certain speed, which was put in the project or provided to me in the project. Then I'm just setting the fonts for all these labels, adding them to this VBox, and then adding the VBox to the pane, adding a button at the bottom for buy now. So if you like this car and all its information, you can press buy now. And so when you click on the button, it will call the buy button, and it will provide the ID of the car. And so in this buy button method, as you'll see, has a car. Again, just creating some labels. This is for your first, last, and all your card information, setting the fonts as I did before, adding them all to a VBox. Then I created some text fields that is going to appear right next to these labels. And then at the bottom, I added a button called Final Purchase, which is for once you pick the car you want, you put all your information, then you can order that car, and then once you click that button, it will go to the order car method with all of this information about the person and the car they picked. So this is that method with all the information, the user input, plus that car. So first things first, it checks whether all the user input is valid. So like if you didn't put in, so this, like for example right here, this gets the text that the user input, then it sees if all of that input is letters. It's kind of like the C++ method, is char or is digit, or if it is less than 1, because you can't really have a name that has digits in it, or like it can't be less than 1 character, obviously. So if that's the case, then a window will pop up that says your input is invalid. Same thing for the last name, and it's very similar with the other ones, except it uses numbers instead. So it takes the value of the user inputs and then looks whether they are all digits or not, and whether it is the length. The user input is 16, because you can't have a credit card that is less than 16 characters. Again, it'll pop up an error. This is for the CVV, similar thing, except if it's 3 characters. And then finally for the date, it looks if it is if the date the user input is already passed. If it's already passed, then an error will occur, because you can't input a credit card with a old or out of date date. But if all of those are false, like if all the inputs are valid, then it creates a label for the name, the card name, the card brand, all the car information plus the amount that was taken out, and then it will, this is the receipt here, and that is it for the most part. I already went over this one. Oh, okay, so get, check, and clear image, or none of these down here I went over. So the get check method, this takes 2 hash maps. So a hash map with a checkbox and a string. This you would assume, well, it is the checkbox and the checkbox ID, and then this hash map is the checkbox and whether it is clicked or not. So it creates a hash set called checked, and it goes through the second hash set here, and if value, so if it is checked, then it is added to the checkbox, the ID of the checkbox, and then it returns the list of all the ones that are checked. This method here, clear images, it just goes through all the image views, and it just sets their images to null. So it just gets rid of all of the previous images that were in the image views. And these are pretty easy to understand. They're just adding all the image view sets, or image views to the image view set, adding all the cars to the cars map, adding all the checkboxes to their hash sets, and that's it. So now on to the actual code itself. If I go over here and run this code, you'll see this is blank, so you go over to the filters tab here, and over here is where you decide what you want in your car. Say you want Lamborghinis, Mercedes, and Aston Martins. You want them to be no more than $400,000. I think that's the right amount of zeros, yep. And you only want black ones. There's only 2 of those that apply, so maybe I'll make it so they can be any color. There we go. There's a lot more of those. So then I say, hey, I like this one right here. I click on it, and it gives me all the information about the car. It's an Aston Martin, it's red, it's price, it's a convertible, and it goes 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. So say I wanted to buy it, I click on here, then I can input my name, and then I just put in a date, and then I put in a CVV. But let's say I put 1 in the last name by accident. See, it'll pop up an error. So I have to fix that. Or, so this is 16 characters right here, but if I were to say add an extra 1, card number is invalid here. Or if I were to take away 2, card number is invalid. If I were to say pick a date earlier than the current date, also an error. Or say I put only 2 values instead of 3, it doesn't work. But when everything is correct, you'll get your receipt here. It says your name, the last 4 of your card, the car name, the car brand, the color, the price, the amount taken, and then your thanks for your purchase. And that's about it.